For more than 200 years, the United States military has lived by a very simple doctrine. We run the Western Hemisphere. And on January 3rd, the United States military unambiguously reminded the world that they are still in charge. This is Caracas, Venezuela, on the night that elite U.S. Special Forces team captured Venezuelan dictator Nicolás Maduro and his wife in the riskiest operation since SEAL Team 6 killed Osama bin Laden. The mission lasted 88 minutes. It was widely considered flawless.
This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history.
So, how did they do it? The story begins in August when a covert CIA team infiltrated Venezuela with one crucial objective: uncover every detail of Nicolás Maduro's daily habits and whereabouts. They had a fleet of drones and a human source close to Maduro. It was insanely high risk. They had no diplomatic cover, no U.S. embassy to retreat to, but by December, they'd done their job. They knew everything about him.
How he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets. As
the CIA was watching Maduro, the military was doing its own preparations. Maduro was splitting his time between at least a half a dozen locations. Somewhere in an undisclosed part of Kentucky, the Joint Special Operations Command built a replica of one of them. Delta Force operatives practiced blowing open an exact replica of Maduro's steel door and moving inside. The scale-up off the coast of Venezuela began around the same time that CIA operatives deployed. On August 19th, the U.S. deployed 3 guided missile destroyers to the Venezuelan coast. In September, it sent F-35s to Puerto Rico and a submarine with cruise missiles to South America. On October 24th, the Navy was ordered to send the USS Gerald Ford, its most advanced nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, and its entire strike group from Europe to the Caribbean. Over time, they sent a full-fledged armada. They moved an amphibious strike group led by the USS Iwo Jima. That ship is capable of launching Marine helicopters. Along with the ships came more than 10,000 Marines and sailors and a lot of air power. We're talking F-35s, B-1s, B-52s, P-8 Poseidons, armed Reaper drones, search and rescue copters, and at least 10 CV-22 Osprey tilt rotor aircraft. These guys spent a good deal of their time taking out drug boats and seizing illegal oil tankers. But they also were sending a message. Maduro's days were numbered. On December 23rd, U.S. officials gave Maduro the option to flee his country. He declined. 2 days later, on Christmas, the president greenlit the mission, but deferred to the military on how and when that mission would actually take place. The big question was timing.
Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise. The men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action.
Among the thousands of Marines and sailors were 2 elite subsets of commandos: the Army's elite Delta Force and the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, known as the Night Stalkers. The purpose of Delta Force is to capture or kill high-value targets. The purpose of the Night Stalkers is to run low-altitude aviation missions. These guys were the ones who carried SEAL Team 6 to bin Laden's compound, and now their job was to carry Delta Force to Maduro's. They'd been training off the coast for months. The mission was delayed for days because of terrible weather. Finally, right around the new year, the weather cleared. At 4:30 p.m. on January 2nd, the first round of approvals came to put the first assets in the air. For the next 6 hours, military brass monitored 2 key factors: the weather and Maduro's location. They told the president they'd call him at 10:30 p.m. At 10:46 p.m., President Trump gave the final green light from Mar-a-Lago.
He said to us, and we appreciated it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed.
The first sign that Venezuelans may have noticed something happened was when the power went out. Though, quite frankly, that's probably not too unusual in Caracas. However, this time, it wasn't third world infrastructure. It was a cyber attack that cut power to huge sections of the city.
The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly.
The helicopters could now enter Venezuelan airspace under the dark of night. And they did. More than 150 of them, including planes and drones, fighters and bombers. They came from more than 20 locations on both air and sea. As the planes approached, U.S. intel was so good that they knew Maduro had no idea what was coming.
As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway.
Social media lit up with footage of bombs dropping on Caracas. The U.S. was hitting radar facilities, radio towers, and air defense systems. They had targeted at least 2 military bases, a naval port, and an airport. But their ultimate goal was to create a clear path for the Night Stalkers to bring in Delta Force on their helicopters.
The goal of our air component is, was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home.
Their target, Maduro, was staying on the country's most fortified military base. They arrived at 2 in the morning local time, 1 in the morning in Mar-a-Lago.
The helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force and self-defense.
The commandos used explosives to blow open the door. 3 minutes later, they had located Maduro and his wife, who were trying to flee to a steel-reinforced room.
It was a very thick door. It was a very heavy door, but he was unable to get to that door.
Within 5 minutes of arriving, the Venezuelan strongman was in custody. President Trump and his top aides watched the entire raid from Mar-a-Lago.
I watched it literally like I was watching a television show.
By 3:29 a.m. Eastern, Maduro and his wife were in captivity on the USS Iwo Jima. From there, they went to Guantanamo Bay, and then they were transferred to civilian control and sent to New York to face charges. Since the beginning of our country, the United States has aggressively policed our neighborhood. Just look at the long list of Latin American thugs, despots, and communists who are collecting at the bottom of the dustbin of history. Manuel Noriega in Panama, Marxist leaders in Grenada and Chile, and now Nicolás Maduro follows in their footsteps. In less than the time it takes to watch The Lion King, a team of elite American commandos successfully crossed enemy airspace, took out a South American dictator, and brought him out of the country. Not one American soldier was lost. The moral of the story is clear. This is America's world. Everyone else just lives in it. The Monroe Doctrine is back.